Hello students, today we are going to study an important chapter that is pollutions. In this chapter we will study about pollution and this pollution chapter is very important for your exam. So first of all we are going to study about the pollution. What is pollution? The term pollution refers to any change in the natural quantity of environment brought about by chemical, physical and the biological factor, and thus environmental pollution referred to as any unfavorable alteration of our surroundings that is wholly or largely as a product or as a byproduct of man's actions, and these changes may affect man's and other organisms. Mean in this paragraph actually we are talking about the pollutions. Means what is pollution? Basically pollution refers to as any change in the natural quantity. Okay, means we are talking about any change in the natural quantity of environment that is brought about by the chemical, physical and the biological factor. Okay, means if there is any change that is added by adding chemical or the physical factors. Okay, suppose the environmental pollutions that is referred to as any alteration, any unfavorable alteration to our surrounding, or as a result of, that is why, because as a result of byproduct of main section, means due to main section, and the product or the byproduct of that is called as environmental pollutions, and these changes may affect mains and other organisms. Now our second topic is about the pollutant. Pollutants are the byproduct or the product which are released into the biosphere large quantity and which affects the normal functioning of the ecosystem and have an adverse effect on plant animals in the main. Now we are talking about the pollutants. Means what are the pollutants? Pollutants are basically the product which are released into the biosphere, and that is in the large quantity and which affect the normal functioning of the ecosystem. Means these products that are released into the biosphere that are going to affect the normal functioning of the ecosystem and has an adverse effect on the plant and the animal as well as the man. Thus the pollutant is basically a substance that is present in the environment in the harmful concentration, means that are present in the harmful that are present in abundance, and these abundant quantity or these pollutant are basically harmful, which are going to contaminate air, water and the soil. Mean these pollutants are basically is going to contaminate our air, water and soil, and it affects adversely the environment, human beings and other organisms also. Means these substance, that is the undesirable substance, is going to contaminate our air, water and the soil, and it adversely affect our environment, our human beings and other organisms also. Now we have different types of pollutants. On the basis of degradation, these pollutants or undesirable substance is going to divide into two categories. Okay, first one is our biodegradable pollutant. Means now we are talking about a substance that are biodegradable. Example is the pollutant which can be degraded by biological or microbial actions are known as biodegradable pollutants. Means it can be asked in your exam, that is what is biodegradable pollutant. Then you have to answer like this, that the pollutant which can be degraded by biological or microbial action, and these type of pollutant are known as biodegradable pollutant. Example is that is sewage, domestic garbage, etc. Now, second one is about non-biodegradable pollutant. What is non-biodegradable pollutant? The pollutant which are not degraded by the microbes and the degraded at a very slow rate. Means these pollutants are basically not degraded by the microbes or microorganism, or these can degrade at a very slow rate, and these are known as a biodegradable pollutant. For example, our glass, plastic, radioactive substance and the pesticides. These pollutants are basically non-biodegradable. Now, on the basis of the origins in the environment, we are talking about the origin in the environment. These pollutant can be classified into two categories. Okay, first one is about the primary pollutant and the second one is a secondary pollutant. Now, let's talk about the primary pollutant. the pollutant which are directly introduced by their sources. Now we are talking about a pollutant which are directly introduced by their sources into the environment are known as primary sources or primary pollutant. The example is very interesting. There is ash, smoke, fumes, dust, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, hydrocarbons like methanes, acetylene, and the benzenes. These pollutants are basically directly introduced by their sources into the environment, and these are known as primary pollutants. Now we are going to discuss about the secondary pollutant, the pollutants which are formed from the chemical reaction. Now we are talking about the pollutants which are formed from the chemical reaction of primary pollutant, means that is a value addition of the primary pollutants, means there is a value addition of the primary pollutants. So the pollutants which are formed from the chemical reactions of the primary pollutants in the environment is known as secondary pollutant. The example is about the nitrogen dioxide or nitrogen oxide plus hydrocarbon. That is, these two primary pollutants is going to release from the automobiles, and these pollutants basically react in the presence of sunlight to form, that is PAN, and the ozone. Okay, ozone, the two primary pollutants which are far more toxic than the primary pollutants from their desired derived. Now we are talking about a pan. Okay, what is pan? Here that is NO. That is nitrogen. This is nitrogen oxide. Okay, plus hydrocarbon. Okay, what is, you can take CH4. Okay, hydrocarbon, and these two primary pollutant when combined, it is going to form a pan, and it is more harmful. It is more harmful pollutant than the primary pollutant. So you can say that this is more toxic than the primary pollutant. This product is more toxic than the primary pollutant. So you can learn from this that the secondary pollutant is going basically that are formed from the chemical reactions of the primary pollutants, and such type of and released into the environment, and such type of the pollutant is known as secondary pollutant. Okay. Now on the basis of the existence in the nature, now we are going to divide the pollutant on the basis of water. We are going to divide basically what, on the basis of existence in nature. We are going to divide on the basis of existence in nature. The pollutant can be divided into two categories. This pollutant can be divided into two categories. The first one is a quantitative pollutant, and the second one is we have this one, that is water. Second one we have qualitative pollutant. Second one we have qualitative pollutant. Now we are going to discuss about the qualitative pollutant. These substances basically exist in nature, but they react as pollutant. But they act as a pollutant when the concentration or the quantity increased up to a critical level in the atmosphere. Now it's very important that on the basis of existence in the nature, the pollutant can be further divided into two categories. Now, already these pollutants are already exist in nature. Okay, so we have divided into two categories. First one is a quantitative pollutant. These substances or these pollutants are already existing in nature, but they act as a pollutant when their concentration and the quantity is going to increase up to a critical level. Then such type of the pollutant come under the qualitative pollutant. The example is about carbon dioxide and nitrogen oxide. Now again we are going to discuss about the qualitative pollutant. This is about the quantitative and this is about the qualitative. These pollutants do not exist in the environment. First of all, these pollutants are not going to exist in the environment. They are introduced in the environment by the means activities. Okay, and these pollutants are basically introduced in the environment through the means activities. Example, pesticides, that is DDC, DDT, and chemical fertilizer and herbicides. Due to this is known as qualitative pollutants, and earlier it was called as a quantitative pollutant. Now we are going to divide the types of pollutions. The pollution can be classified as follows. On the basis of the parts of environment where it takes atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere, It is also known as air pollution, water pollution, and the soil pollution, respectively. Means on the basis of the parts of environment where it has been taken. Okay. First one is atmosphere, so it is called air pollution. Hydrosphere, so it is called water pollution. Lithosphere, so it is called soil pollution, respectively. Now, on the basis of the origin, pollution may be natural. The pollution may be natural. Example, that is volcanic eruption, and it is also anthropogenic. Anthropogenic means it is also a man-made. Okay. Example is about the industrial pollution. So it can be an inside question that on the basis of origin, pollution can be natural as well as anthropogenic. Okay. And the example is about the natural is that volcanic eruption, and anthropogenic is also known as man-made. That is the best example is industrial pollutants or industrial pollution. Now, on the basis of physical nature of the pollutant, now we are targeting the pollutant. That is on the physical nature of the pollutant. The categories are gases, particulate, the gases, particulate matter, temperature, noise, radioactivity, etc. And these are known as gaseous pollution, dust pollution, thermal pollution, and the noise pollution, respectively. Means on the basis of the physical nature of the pollutant, we are again dividing the pollution into different categories. First one is about the gaseous, second one is dust pollution, thermal pollution, and the noise pollution, etc. Now, in this chapter, first we are going to discuss about the air pollution. Air pollution is defined as the excessive concentration of the foreign matter in air. Means it is actually there is a excessive concentration of foreign matter in the air which adversely affect the well-being of human beings, animals, plant, and their environment. Means in this air pollution, we are talking about the air pollution. Means here excessive concentration of foreign matter is added into the air which adversely affect the well-being of which adversely affect the human beings, animals, plants, and their environment. Now the elements of now we are talking about the elements of the definition are as follows. The concentration of a foreign, the concentration of which what? The concentration of which, that is the concentration of foreign matter in there means and which adversely affect the living and non-living things. Means the concentration of foreign matter that is added into air, then the result will be it is going to adversely affect the living being as well as non-living being also. The causes of air pollution, that is air pollution takes place through the pollutants of gas. Now causes of pollution, that is these are going to take place through pollutant of gases, solid as liquid particles of the both organic as well as inorganic chemicals. Gases such as sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, pollens from the plants, etc., are continuously added into the air, thereby lowering their quantity, and thus the natural composition of the air is disturbed by the nature and by the man-made sources. So, in this paragraph, actually, this extra addition of substance that is added into the air, that is called as that particles can be organic as well as inorganic chemical. So, if gases like sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, and the pollens from the plants are continuously added into the air, thereby it's lowering the quantity, and thus the natural composition of the air is going to disturbed by the nature as well as man-made resources. Now, we are going to discuss about the water pollution. Water pollution can be defined as alteration. Now, water pollution can be defined as alteration in physical, chemical, and the biological characteristic of water, making it unsuitable for designated use in its natural state. WHO has defined water pollution as any foreign material either from natural or other sources that may contaminate the water supply and it harmful to life. And pollution of water leads to reduction of pollution of water. This pollution of water leads to reduction of normal oxygen level of water, causes aesthetically unpalatable effort and a spread of epidemic disease. Means these water pollution, basically there is a alteration in the physical, chemical, and the biological characteristic water and making unsuitable for that is designated use in its natural state. And WHO also defined, now WHO has also defined that if any foreign material either from the natural as well as other sources that may contaminate water supply and make it harmful to the life. Water pollution, that is impacts the entire food chain and affects the human health as toxin from the contaminated fish, prawns, etc. get deposited in the human tissues, and this led to the cancer and the birth defects or long-term health problem. Now about the fresh water, The freshwater bodies are polluted, or the freshwater bodies are polluted by the domestic, industrial, and the agriculture effluents. Means these freshwater basically polluted by the domestic, industrial, and the agriculture effluents, or you can say effluent means waste. Polluted freshwater is unsafe for drinking. This polluted freshwater is unsafe for drinking, and the polluted lakes are unfit for swimming and the fishing. All the effluent from the fish from the freshwater sources together with the pollutants finally join the oceans. Now we are going to talk about the marine water. Marine pollutions or ocean pollution is the spreading of harmful substances. The spreading, that is we could spreading of harmful substance in which that is in the ocean, that is called as such as plastic, industrial and the agriculture waste, the chemical pest particles into the ocean. 80% of the marine pollution comes from the land. 80% of this marine pollution that is come from the land, and mining for materials such as copper and the gold is a major source of contamination in the ocean. Okay, so it's very important that the mining for the materials such as copper, gold is a major source of contamination in the ocean. The saline water, that is the saline water in the ocean, also get affected by the thermal pollution. Saline water that is present in the ocean is also affected by the thermal pollution and other water pollution, such as oil spills and the nuclear waste also. Oil spills and the natural waste also, as a result of that is marine pollutions. As a result of what? As a result of marine pollutions, all levels of organic life, that is plant and animals, are affected in worse and cause dead zone are created. Now we are talking about the soil pollution. Soil is the upper layer of the earth. Soil is the upper layer of the earth's crust, which is formed by weathering of rocks. Okay, how it is soil formed? That is, soil is the upper layer of the earth's crust, which is formed by weathering of rock. Organic matter in the soil makes it unsuitable, makes it suitable for the living organism. That is, the organic matter that is present in the soil make it suitable for the living organism. Now, about the soil pollution, that is, it is defined as the change in the physical, chemical, and the biological conditions of the soil through the man's interventions, resulting in the degradation in the quality and productivity of the soil. The pollutants enters the food chain at the plant's level and get magnified as we move up the food chain. Also, the soil pollution differ from the water and air pollution in the sense that the pollutants remain in the soil for a relatively longer period. Radioactive pollution is defined as the increase in the natural background radiations and emerging from the activities of the man's. We are talking about the radioactive pollutants. It is defined as increase in the natural background radiations emerging from the activities of man using a natural occurring or artificially producing radioactive materials. Environmental radiations, that is divided into two types, that is natural as well as man radiation. The radiation from the nature or the cosmic radiation from the outer space that is reaching the Earth's surface, and the terrestrial radiations, that is from the Earth from the nature radioisotopes. First one is about that is a cosmo. First one is about that is a cosmic radiation that is from the outer space reaching the Earth's surface, and the second one is that the terrestrial radiation that is from the natural are radioisotopes from the Earth's crust. The man-made radiations that is originate the man-made radiations originate from the use of radioactive materials, and these materials are used in the production of nuclear weapons and the nuclear fuel. The radioactive materials used in the atom bombs is very destructive. We are aware of the impact of the radioactivity on the man and the environment during the Second World War, when the US dropped atom bomb on the Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan in August 1945. Means we are talking about that radioactive materials that is used in the atom bomb, and purpose is just for destruction. So we have already aware of the impact of what radioactivity on the man and the environment, that is during the Second World War. How that when the USA dropped the atom bomb on the Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan in August 1945. Nuclear fuel in the atomic reactors produces. Now, nuclear fuel that is in the atomic reactor produce pollutions. The heat that is given out during fission is converted into electricity, and during this process, the two type of wastes are produced. First one is the fission, that is product remaining in both primary as well as the secondary fuel, and the second one is that the waste product in the coolant. First one is about that is the fissile material that is remaining in both the primary as well as the secondary fuel. The disposal of the radioactive waste that is causes pollution. So how the radioactive waste causes when the disposal of the proper disposal of the radioactive is not done, then it causes a radiation pollution. The high level of the product of natural waste remains in the environment for several hundred years. Means these high level products of natural waste that is are going to remain in the environment. So for several years. Leakage in the nuclear reactor that is causes a environmental pollution. If there is a leakage in the nuclear reactor, then it is also going to harm the environment. The leakage may result in the death of a number of people, and the best example is Chernobyl atomic reactor, and earliest was USSR in April 26, 1986. Now we are going to study about the noise pollution. Noise is defined as an unwanted sound that is an irritant, a source of stress. Means what is noise pollution? Noise pollution is basically defined as an unwanted sound. Basically it is an unwanted sound that is going to irritate your that is going to be an irritator and a source of stress. A sound is means of communication. Sound is what? Means of communication and entertainment. A low sound is pleasant. Here a low sound is pleasant, but a loud sound is unpleasant and is often referred to as noise. Means if the sound is low, it will be very pleasant to you, and if it is loud, it will be unpleasant to you, and it is often referred to as noise. Noise is a physical form of pollution. Noise is what? It is a physical form of pollution which is not directly harmful to life supporting system. Noise is what? It is a physical form of pollution which is not directly harmful to the life supporting system. And namely that is about which life namely air, water and the soil. It affects more directly that is felt to the rivers. Means we are talking about that this is a physical form of pollution which not directly harm the life supporting system. Life supporting system means what? That is about the air, about the soil and the water. It affects more directly on the receivers, that is the man. Means noise pollution directly affects the man, not on the water, not on the that is life supporting systems such as air, soil and water. Although noise pollution is not fatal to human beings, yet its effect cannot be overlooked because repeated exposure to the noise reduces the sleeping hour. Means what are the effects of noise pollution? First, if you are repeatedly exposed to the noise, that is going to reduce your sleep hour. Second, productivity or efficiency of the human beings is going to decrease. It's affect the peace of mind. It also affects the peace of mind and invade the privacy of the human beings. Most of the noise originates that is from the modern industries urban lives. The main source of the noise are industrial sector, transport sector, household sector, defense sector, loud speaker and the miscellaneous sources. Thank you दोस्तों.